Hey, Judy. All right, the video we're talking about is trying to play some of these same stacked combination of notes that make up a chord in different positions on your guitar. So down here, the one we're talking about is just the A chord. Okay, I want to take those notes that make an A chord and move them up the neck so I can actually have different accommodations that I can make for the melody. If it's doing something different, I can stack different notes beneath it. For instance, when we're doing this right now, the highest note we have in this chord is the open string E up top, right? Followed by a C sharp on the second string, an A below it, an E, and then an A on the bass. And actually you could include that low E as well. But the highest note we have is an E. So right now the melody is hanging out on that E, and it can go up and down, whatever, but it's not gonna do anything crazy. It's not gonna go all the way up to that E in this position. So it's also an exercise to think of these notes as being inversions, meaning the best way to think about a chord is that it's built on the root below. So if you think of the 1 of the chord being on the bottom, and the 3rd being above it, and then the 5th is nice and pretty. It's just going 1, 3, 5. All right, but let's do it this way. So 1, 3, 5. But sometimes you can take that 1, put it up in the top, and you end up with, you end up with this. You have the 3 and the 5 still together and the 1 above it, okay? Still the same notes. They just sound a little different because the combination of notes is not that same pretty cluster in a row, and it's just a different point of reference too. It just feels different. You can, goodness gracious, you can also take that 3rd and stack it up on top, and you end up with something like this. So you have the 5th hanging down here, then the 1st again, and then the 3rd, and then you come up. If you take the 5th and put it above that, you end up with 1, 3, 5 again. Just mean the combinations can be different based if you're going from the bass to the bass to the soprano of these choral voices. It just gives you some different options. So here's one way to look at it. The notes we have in an A chord: A, C sharp, and E. Okay? The easiest way to fret 3 notes so that you end up with the root, the 3rd, and the 5th stacked up like that in a way that you can move it up and down the neck really easily is if you put your 3rd finger on the note F, second finger on A, and first finger on C. That's our F chord, which has no business being in the key of A anyway, but it's just a nice way to look at it. So you have F, A, C, which makes an F chord. All right, 1st, 3rd, 5th of the chord. And just to show you a different thing here, just to show you why I'm saying this. So like, let's do something like a D chord. With a D chord, you've got D, A, D, F sharp. So you got the 1, the 5, the 1, and then the 3rd. It's a pretty cool sound, but it's not the nice little 1, 3, 5 stacked up. So back to the F chord. F, A, C gives you 1, 3, 5. And if I take that whole chord and just play those 3 notes and move it up, so you have an F here. It's built on the root, so I just move the whole thing relative to what my 3rd finger is doing. F sharp, G major chord, G sharp, A major chord. Now we have an A chord. It's nice and pretty. A, C sharp, E, but more importantly, 1, 3, 5 with a 1 in the bass. It's just cool. It makes it so that now, even though before, the highest note we had was an E, we could do different things on this 1st string if we wanted. Okay, but really I'm going to talk about what we can do right now in the meat of what our fingers are right now, like this 2nd, 3rd, and 4th strings. Okay? The root is on the 4th string, the 2nd finger is playing the 3rd, the 1st finger is playing the 5th. So here's a good example. Like, if I know that this is the 5th that my 1st finger is playing right now, the 5th of that chord, then a whole step above it is the 6th. So if the melody went 5, 6, 5 over an A chord, I just drop my pinky down. I don't have to do anything crazy. I just drop my pinky down and play that. It's a whole step above the 5th. So it's the 5th of the chord, but the melody, the soprano note, is playing 5, 6, 5. And the way I can accommodate that with this nice pretty voicing down below is it's just cool. It just sounds pretty. The same thing can happen here. If I'm in this position and I know that take that a little bit in a different direction. So now let's imagine the melody is going 3, 4, 3, okay? 3, 4, 3. So in scale degrees, the melody is going 5, 6, 5, and then it's going to go 3, 4, 3, da 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 da, okay? I can do that where I'm at, especially since I know this is the A chord, the home chord. So everything, all the scale degrees we're talking about scale degrees, and it's all relative to what our chord is doing too. Meaning, 1, 3, 5 of this chord is also 1, 3, 5 in the key that we're playing in. Okay, so the same way we could go 5, 6, 5. I can say this is the third. So if the melody goes 3, 4, 3, okay, in this case C sharp, D, C sharp, I just used my pinky. So I went. Okay, I'm not doing anything too crazy really. I'm not really thinking this through too much, but I want to show you the exercise of it so you can visualize it. Okay, now this is just kind of neat. So imagine we can approach it, the same thing you just did. Let's kind of land where we're at from below. So if I know this is 5 and I know this is 6, I can actually get there by playing the 4 below it, which is a whole step. I think it's kind of neat to do that. If this is the 3, back it up a whole step and you're playing 2 and move it up to where you came from. See how we can get there? We can come out of it and come back in. Same thing, this is the root. So if I know that's the root, then I know the 7, the flat, well, and I didn't talk about flat 7, the major 7, the actual 7 of the scales right behind it, so I can go. So now we're not just talking about what's happening right here with our fingers or just what our pinky can do. I can get to it in other ways. So now what's happened is I can actually let the other notes of the scale or the other voices in the what am I saying? Vocal harmonies can actually move around too. It's not just the high notes, it's not just the melody. Anyway, that's just kind of an intro to playing the same chord in a different place, and for the reason of accommodating what the melody is doing. Okay? Just for giggles, I'm going to give you one thing just to think about a little bit, alright? If I take the same thing and same combination of notes, this down here is when you're playing this A chord here on these 3 strings, you've got your first finger E is playing the 5, the middle finger is playing the 1, and the ring finger at this point, I'm playing it the way we've always learned A, not this way, right? So just look at your fingers. 4th string is an E, 3rd string is an A, 2nd string is a C sharp. So in this case, you think about the notes of the chord. A chord is 1, 3, 5. Then you're actually playing in lowest to highest of those 3 strings. You're playing the 5, the 1, and the 3. So they're not in that pretty order. When you put them in order here, they sound nice. But it's all based on what you're doing, what you need to hear relative to what the melody is doing above. Okay, so that's why we have these options. Then let's think about that. We went 5, 1, 3, and now we have 1, 3, 5. So now what if I wanted to do something like, in this case we've got 3, 5, 1. Okay, this is goofy, but just do it. I don't want you to think too much about this. What I've done is I put my middle finger on the 1. Okay, in this case it's A, right? We know that B is the open 2nd string. So B is the 12th fret. Move it down a whole step, that's A. Okay? Take your first finger and put it back 1 fret on the 3rd string. Okay? And your ring finger is going to play the 3rd, C sharp. Okay? So now the order of this from low to high, you've actually got 3, 5, 1. Here it's the exact same chords, it's just different voicing. So I'm going to try and make this work with the current song we're doing, Jesus Keep Me Near the Cross. But more importantly, I think it's just going to give us some options moving forward to just talk about something new and show you how to use a new theory technique to have different options. So I hope that makes sense. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll wear a shirt with writing on it. Bye.